Welcome to my series on AWS Networking Essentials. My name is Sanjay Kumar. I am a cloud architect with 15 years of professional experience. In this series, I am going to dive into setting up a complete VPC network on AWS. I will cover everything from configuring CIDR blocks, creating public and private subnets with EC2 instances, setting up an internet gateway, NAT gateway, and route tables. I have structured this course into multiple short videos to make it easier for you to understand and grasp each concept step by step. By the end of this series, you will have hands-on practical experience to confidently build your own VPC network on AWS. So let's get started. To understand a virtual private cloud or VPC from a high-level perspective, let's consider a relatable example. Imagine a shared office building where multiple organizations rent spaces for their private use. Within the shared workspace, companies like ABC Corp and XYZ Corp have their own dedicated sections. These sections represent their private zones, ensuring that the operations of each organization remain isolated from one another. Now, within each organization, there are multiple teams working on various projects. Each team might have its own dedicated private zone. Let's call them Zone A. For instance, ABC Corp could have a specific private zone where a team is working on a critical project. Within this private zone, the employees can freely communicate and collaborate with one another without any additional tools or restrictions because they are operating within the same secure environment. Now, let's say a new person is trying to enter your organization's private space within the shared office building. Before gaining access, they would need to pass through a security check. This process ensures that only authorized individuals can enter the private zone, maintaining the integrity and privacy of the organization's workspace. Now, let's try to understand this concept from an AWS perspective. You can consider the shared working space as your AWS cloud, and within this AWS cloud, we have two private sections. Each private section can be considered as a separate VPC. As you see, each VPC has its own secure boundary. Within the VPC, we have a private zone, and this private zone can be considered as a subnet. Within your subnet is where you deploy all your AWS resources like EC2 instances, databases, or any other AWS resource. As I mentioned before, the employees within this private zone can communicate with one another securely because they are already in their private zone. Similarly, the services that we create within a subnet are already within their private zone and they can communicate securely and privately without going to the public internet. Now, let's look at the person who's coming from outside. This represents a request coming from the public internet, such as an HTTP or TCP request. The security guard at the entrance ensures that only authorized individuals can enter. In the AWS context, this security guard could be your internet gateway, security groups, or any other security mechanism used to protect your VPC from unauthorized access. Additionally, in any building, you will have a map which has instructions on how to reach other parts of the same building. Similarly, in a VPC or a subnet context, you will have a routing table which has the information on how to reach other networks. Your subnet will use this information from the routing table to communicate with external networks. This is the high-level overview of VPC networking. In case you don't get any of these components, like what is a VPC, what is a subnet, what is a routing table, what is an internet gateway, nothing to worry because we are going to implement all these components in a step-by-step practical approach. Once we complete this series, this is how our VPC network diagram will look. Thanks for watching this video. We will be doing a practical session from the next video onwards. So please make sure you are watching the whole series to get a complete picture of AWS VPC networking. Thank you.